Welcome to Career Practitioner Conversations. This podcast is presented by the National Career Development Association. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Venable, NCDA Director of Professional Development. This episode features a conversation about the challenges faced by today's job seekers. I'm here with two members of the New Jersey Career Development Association Board of Directors, Jeanetta Warren and Paul Cecala. You can find their full bios and links in the show notes for this episode. And Jeanetta and Paul, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Melissa. Glad to be here. And Jeanetta, tell me just real quick a little bit of what it is that you're doing in career development right now.
In career development, I'm focusing on career branding. Let me just give you a brief, my history. I am the founder and CEO of JW Professional Writing Services. And what we do is help people develop their career brands. A lot of people are not aware of how powerful it is to showcase their value. And we do that with their resumes and their LinkedIn profiles to help them be more visible, credible, and marketable in the job market.
And I'm known as the project planning career coach. So I've looked at project management principles, apply them to the job search process, helping people figure out how to get from where I am today, maybe even answer the question, what do I want to be when I grow up? All the way through to how to interview and ace that interview process. I've written a couple of books on the topic as well, and I know Jeanetta's got a course that she's just recently put together, which we'll maybe talk about in a little bit. But tell me, what do you think, Jeanetta, are some of the biggest struggles that people are finding in the in the employment space today to find a job?
It seems like post-COVID, it's more of an employer's market. Right after COVID, there was a lot of people finding jobs more easily. But now, as it prolonged, it shifts and it's harder for people to find employment. They're sending out 50, 100, 75, all types of applications, the amount, and getting very few interviews. I coach people on, again, making sure their resume showcase their value, and also making sure once their resume gets past the applicant tracking system into the hands of a recruiter or hiring manager, it wows them, and then making sure their LinkedIn complements their resume, the whole cohesive career branding product.
And well, some of the things we were talking about earlier in terms of struggles that candidates are having, right? We see, and I certainly see in my practice, a lot of issues with ageism. And that could be either I'm too young or I'm too old. I have not enough experience or too much experience, right? So all the issues around ageism seem to be an issue. We both talked about seeing a lot of ghosting taking place on both sides of the equation. Even more so, obviously, with employers ghosting the candidates because, okay, I've interviewed you, I've chosen not you, someone else, and we never hear from them again. That's never any fun, right? We looked at the disconnect. We see this disconnect between employers seeking that perfect candidate versus the candidate who may not have all of those 100% perfect skills and then being afraid to apply for a job that they probably really could do well if they did apply and if the employer was willing to give them a chance. And then the biggest thing I hear from employers all the time, communication skills.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's a part of what happened with COVID. Right?
That is true. That is true. We hibernated for 2 years and we lost some of our social and communication skills. And now it's showing up in interviews. I read a stat in the article that said that the younger generation, speaking of ageism, do not give direct eye contact when they're in an interview. Or if they're on a virtual interview, they don't turn on their camera. Someone needs to get the word out. Turn on your camera. People want to see you while they're interviewing you. They want to know you.
Right. So it's all those soft skills that some of us who are older and have been in the workforce are still rusty on because of the loss of that through COVID, and recent graduates have never had experience with because of COVID.
That's
And even
true.
though we're 2-3 years out of the pandemic, it's still impacting on candidates finding a job today. But you were telling me about this study that you found regarding the labor market, because we were talking a little bit about the difference between the jobs that are available and the candidates that are available, right? And so refresh my memory again on that article.
It stated that there's 8.5 million job openings and 6 million people looking for work in the labor market, actively searching for work. So there's more jobs than it is people looking. But if you speak to a hiring manager or a recruiter, they will tell you it's impossible for me to find great candidates or qualified candidates. But if you speak to the job seeker, they will tell you, I'm filling out all these applications, I'm sending my resumes, and I'm not getting anywhere. So there's a disconnect. There's a flaw in the hiring system, and everything is just causing employers not to get the candidates and candidates not find a job. So it's crazy right now.
While I've not done the research to back this up, what my experiences have been with my clients, tell me if this is true for yours. Using my son as one example, he's 19 years old. He can basically say, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I want. And if you fire me, no big deal. There's another job out there for me. So when we're looking at the low skilled, right, low level, entry level roles, working in retail, at a gas station, working in those kinds of jobs that many Americans feel are maybe a little bit beneath them, there's tons of opportunity there, and you can get a job very, very quickly. But especially for you and I, who are both in the Northeast, the greater New York area here, try and earn a living in one of those jobs. You can't do it. And so most of my older clients are saying, the job that I want, that I need, that's going to pay me at the level that I need to sustain my life, those jobs are not there. Traditionally, I would say we could almost, knowing the problems with generalities, break it down to, the blue collar positions versus the white collar positions. There's a lot of low level blue collar kinds of positions available, but not a whole lot of white collar office type, highly educated roles that are available. And I think that's one of the struggles we're seeing in that disconnect within the labor market. How does that fit with you?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm part of SHRM. I'm the local chapter Tri-State. Shout out to Tri-State. I love Tri-State. And I talk to a lot of hiring managers and a lot of recruiters all the time because I sit on multiple committees. And what they say is when they post a job position, within 24 hours, they have thousands of applicants applying. So, in reference to the white collar, it's more competitive because so many people are looking for those jobs, and it's not as many as the lower level hospitality skilled workers it is. So it becomes more competitive, and that's why it's harder to find a job as well.
Right. So we're saying the same things in
Right.
that sense. Now, we were also looking, though, at one of the biggest struggles that I think my clients are finding. And by the way, I'm seeing this with clients at all levels of the spectrum, from recent college graduates through to C-suite. The fast pace of technology change and trying to keep up with that, in particular with AI and how AI is impacting both the employer side as well as the candidate side of the job search process. And so, how do we as candidates deal with that? How do we keep up with that? So, looking at the employer side of it, where are we seeing AI being used in the hiring process at this point?
Applicant tracking systems. That's one of the AI tools that they use. And I would say for white collar, maybe like 90% of the companies use it, if not more, because there's so many people applying for one job. It's impossible for the human resource department to manage all those resumes and applications coming in without utilizing some type of applicant tracking system. And I always educate my clients, if you don't have keyword optimization, all the keywords related to that
Right.
job description for your resume, human eyes would never see it. The applicant tracking system will send it to the trash and say you don't meet the qualifications because you don't have all the keywords. So one of the ways that I educate my clients is to make sure that your target position or target industry, your resume is full of overlapping with keyword optimization for that target industry. That's one way you can try to beat the AI, the robot, when you're applying for jobs.
Well, and while most of us as candidates are familiar with AI or the applicant tracking system at this point, you hit the nail on the head in many ways that many of us still don't know. And I always include myself as a job seeker, even though I'm really doing career coaching full time. But many job seekers still don't understand how to beat that applicant tracking system, or what do we have to do to adjust and change the way we approach the application part of the process in order to get past that applicant tracking system. And your comment about, keyword optimization is one piece I see often. Another thing I see happening with a lot of my clients is that the resume they upload into the system is not formatted correctly so that the applicant tracking system can easily and properly accept the information and put it into the correct place within the application. And now we're having to go back through and reorganize and retype everything. And it's like, why did we bother uploading it in the first place?
Yeah.
So I think that's one piece. But again, I think a lot of us are pretty familiar with the idea or the concept of the applicant tracking system. My clients are starting to see the AI coming in places like the video interview, right?
Yes.
Where it's simply a computer or a bot interviewing the candidate, and you as a candidate are looking at a blank screen at Zoom, and you're asked the question and given, one, maybe two or three opportunities to try and answer that question. And then you've got to move on to the next question. And oh, by the way, your answer is time limited, right? And
Yep.
so candidates are confused with how do you manage that type of an interview. I think we as career coaches need to maybe spend more time focusing on learning about that and how do we train and prepare our clients for those types of interviews.
I 100% agree with you. One-way interviewings are increasing dramatically, especially in this year. They were around, but now a lot of my clients are informing me that they're getting the one-way interview. The software of most companies use Workable, HireFlex, and Spark Hire. So I try to educate my clients around that too, because your time, like you said, they shoot out questions is one way. You're looking at a blank screen and they shoot these questions to you in your time and they're going on to the next. So another way that I try to help my clients combat this is use another form of AI. There's something called
Yes.
Yoodly is Yoodly, Yoodly, I believe, Yoodly.com. And what it does is prepare you for one-way interviews. It's a similar form of a one-way interview. You put in your industry, and then it shoot questions out to you, and you practice. It tells you how many you spoke, your facial affect, everything to help you get better. So I help my clients by telling them to use AI against AI to help them become more prepared.
Well, and that's, another part of AI too, that there are so many different tools that can be used. And one of the recruiters that I've spoken with recently, actually 2 or 3 of the recruiters I spoke to recently have said they're finding resumes that have been clearly written by AI that are uploaded into the applicant tracking system as an AI. And so you have AI evaluating AI, and the client or the candidate's completely lost. And they're frustrated as recruiters with that because now they don't really know what they're getting. And so where AI has hopefully been around to try and help us do better, in some ways it's starting to implode on itself and
Yes.
work against each other.
Yeah, I am an advocate for AI, but it definitely can be detrimental to the employer and the job seeker. I find a lot of clients come to me saying I send out 50, 7,500 resumes. So I say, send me the resume, let me review it, give you feedback. A lot of times it's resumes that's developed on Canva, with the
Right.
picture and all that, the 2-column resume. Automatically, those are not received by the applicant tracking system. It spits them out quick. Another thing that I'm seeing is even though people are using Chat GPT to create their resume, but like you said, the formatting, even if you have the content that's written somewhat well, because Chat GPT to me, because I'm a writer and I write resumes, is still not written as well as it could be, but the formatting is off. So even if the content is okay, the formatting is not right. They have it in all kinds of different formats that's not received by the applicant tracking system. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for you and I to just educate people, use our platforms, LinkedIn, wherever, TikTok, wherever you are, educate people around the process now that the labor market has changed. It's a big
Yes.
difference. And we need to educate them around what they need to do to be successful in this landscape.
Right. And I love what you said in terms of the writing by ChatGPT or by an AI is not in your voice.
Right.
Each of us has specific speech patterns. Each of us has specific vocabulary that we use as an individual that defines us who we are, right? And so while we could use a variety of different AI options to help us in producing the documents as a candidate, whether it's a cover letter or your resume or the about section of your LinkedIn profile.
Right.
We can use AI for those things, but we need to go back and revise. I won't say rewrite, but revise what AI has produced in order to put it in the voice that you use as an individual. That can be easy if you do it all the time, like you or I,
Right.
but that can be really difficult for someone who is a candidate who doesn't necessarily do a lot of writing or doesn't necessarily think about their own voice. So you have to do, what I'm telling my clients is not only review what has been written, but think about it in terms of the words you would use to say the same thing. And then go back and change those words so that you've got it in your voice. Or maybe you would want to reorganize the order of those points, and it would be clear and obvious to someone that you would say it in 1, 2, 3, but AI put it as 3, 1, 2. Well,
Right.
then go back and change that so that it's in your voice. But some of the things I've been seeing with AI as well, there's a couple of add-ons for your email where it will review the email for you, get the gist of what the conversation is, write your response. All you have to do is say yes or no or maybe, and it will write the response that's appropriate for you agreeing, disagreeing, or not sure. It's not in your voice.
So some people, like you said, don't even know they have a voice to change it. They're not aware of it. With the AI, I find that I always say it's missing a soul. It doesn't have personality to it.
Right.
So that's and also it doesn't really, resumes and cover letters is about storytelling, building a narrative to share your work experience, your education over a period of time. And sometimes when you use ChatGPT or any other form of AI to help you with that, it doesn't know how to put it in the formatting in order of what it should be. Like you explained, is out of
So,
order.
so I think, if I were to kind of summarize our conversation, I think what we're kind of saying is, as career coaches, as career practitioners, we have to do a lot more work on keeping up with this technology and then teaching our clients how to use it properly so that they get the best results out of it.
Yes.
It's amazing to me how fast time goes. So we gotta kind of wrap it up here. Tell me about the course that you've created, because this is something I want to be doing, and that's the next thing that I'm going to add to my business.
To me, your resume is one of the most important documents you'll have over your career lifetime. So I created a course, Turbocharge Your Resume. From A to Z, it gives you everything you need to know to take your career to the next level, to get more interviews, to get those job offers. And you can find it on Thinkific. It's a course platform, Turbocharge Your Resume. And you can also find it on my LinkedIn, Jeanetta Warren.
And I just wrote a book that's the #1 bestseller in its category for a week on Amazon. For 3 weeks, it was in the top 10. It's called Take Control of Your Job Search. It looks at the methodology that I espouse using those project management principles. And I've created 20 worksheets that clients can work through, starting with answering the question, what do I want to be when I grow up? And ending with, how do I ace the interview? So those are 2 great resources that you might consider for your clients. I've had such a great time talking to you, Jeanetta. Thank you so much for your time.
I loved it. I learned so much from you. And this is a topic that we need to continue to talk about to help people master their career paths.